Imagine hearing someone reply to "How are you?" with "The purple Tuesday melted on my sandwich, so Jupiter rented a toaster." You'd probably back away slowly, wouldn't you? That jumble of word isn't poetic. It's the audible fracture of disorganized schizophrenia, the rarest and often most perplexing phase of an already misunderstood illness. It's the kind of a mental health challenge that can truly make you scratch your head and wonder, what on earth is going on here? So stick around, because by the end you will not only understand why those sentences fall apart and why emotions land sideways, but you'll also grasp the quiet, often desperate fight for understanding from someone who's tired of being stared at. Disorganized schizophrenia, once known as hyperphrenia, is a rare subtype that shows up in fewer than 1 in every 1,000 psychosis cases. Yet its impact is profoundly devastating, capable of shredding speech, hygiene, and social life, often before a person's 25th birthday. Yeah, it is that early. And if that doesn't startle you, then picture a bright college freshman, full of dreams, potential, suddenly unable to finish a simple sentence or even manage the basic act of zipping a jacket. This isn't just a quirky behavior, it's a significant disruption. So, are you ready to see how such a fundamental breakdown happens, and why it often gets dismissed as just acting out?
What is disorganized schizophrenia?
Psychiatrists once called the condition hyperphrenia, a term derived from the Greek for youthful madness, because it typically lands its hardest between the ages of 15 and 25, while modern diagnostic manuals like the DSM-5 now view schizophrenia as a spectrum rather than distinct subtypes. The core symptoms that once defined disorganized schizophrenia haven't changed. It's a condition where thoughts, feelings, and actions lose their cohesiveness, their glue. Word tumbles out like Scrabble tiles dumped haphazardly on a table. Behaviors can appear random and purposeless, and emotions often mismatch the moment. The result is that outsiders describe it as nonsense, but for the brain producing it, it is anything but nonsense. It's a deeply personal, often terrifying internal reality that simply does not translate to the outside world. Unlike other forms of schizophrenia that might be dominated by delusions or hallucinations, disorganized schizophrenia primarily affects cognitive processes and emotional regulation, making it uniquely challenging to diagnose and treat.
Why is it that speech breaks first?
While many other subtypes of schizophrenia might lead with prominent hallucinations or paranoia, here the first and most striking casualty is often language itself. It's like the internal editor for your thoughts had gone on an indefinite vacation, leaving a chaotic mess. And 3 common patterns emerges when communication starts to unravel. First, we have the derailment or loss association. The train of thoughts, jumps track mid-sentences, veering off into unrelated topics without any logical bridge. One moment someone might be discussing their morning coffee, and the next they're talking about ancient Egyptians with no apparent connection. Second is tangentiality. Answers swirls around the question like water around a drain, never quite going in. You ask, "Are you hungry?" and the reply might be,
"The sky is blue, isn't it? My neighbor has a blue car."
It's not really related, and it's not an answer. Finally, there's the word salad. Grammatically intact sentences, but seemingly empty strings of words that are utterly nonsensical. Imagine hearing,
I butter the silent radio because socks voted triangulary.
listeners understandably might assume drugs, jokes, or even a deliberate attempt to be difficult. But for the person experiencing it, it is a profound inability to organize and express thoughts coherently, leading to a crushing sense that no one will ever truly get them. This disorganization in speech is a direct reflection of the underlying thought disorder.
Behavior without a goal.
Disorganized psychosis strips actions of its inherent purpose. It's not just that tasks are hard, it is that the very concept of goal-directed sequences can vanish. You might see a young man undress in a mall's food court, not for exhibitionism, but because the fundamental concept of public versus private has become blurred or irrelevant. Another individual might spend 40 minutes meticulously arranging shoes by smell color. They're simply unable to stop the repetitive, seemingly purposeless task, even as their boss leaves. This isn't laziness or rebellion, it's a profound neurological disconnect. The frontal lobes of the brain, responsible for sequencing, prioritizing, and halting actions, simply stalls or misfires. Families desperate for an explanation often interpret this as willfully laziness or defiance. Courts might see it as a disruption or even criminality. Both interpretations, unfortunately, misses the crucial underlying neurology, leading to frustration and further misunderstanding. These behaviors can range from childlike silliness to unpredictable agitation, and often includes a notable decline in personal grooming and hygiene.
When emotions don't hit the mark.
Emotional expressions or affects can become profoundly altered in disorganized schizophrenia. Sometimes it flattens out entirely, leaving the face looking like a mask devoid of typical emotional cues. This is often referred to as a flat affect or blunted emotional reactions. Other times, the affect can invert, leading to reactions that are strikingly inappropriate for the situation. A giggle at a funeral, or sobbing uncontrollably at a joke. Observers might find this deeply unsettling, labeling it as creepy or bizarre. Clinicians, however, refer to it as inappropriate affect. The limbic system, the brain's emotional center, still feels, but the intricate wiring that connects those feelings to contextual appropriate expressions seems to be down or severely scrambled. Add this to fragmented speech and you get crazy, at least the Hollywood way. But the painful reality is nobody's acting here. This is genuine distress symptoms of the illness.
The daily life falls apart.
Think about the sheer number of sequential steps involved in these simple daily tasks. Cooking, for instance, demands a precise order. Peel, slice, boil. When thoughts misfires and executive functions collapse. Boiling water never happens. The stove might stay on unattended. Personal hygiene, something most of us takes for granted, requires, remembering, prioritizing, and executing multiple consecutive steps. A monumental challenge when step 1 dissolves into confusion. Apartments can fill with rotten trash, not from neglect or lack of caring, but from a profound executive collapse, where the ability to plan, initiate and complete tasks is severely impaired. The consequences are often dire. Landlords might evict the person, hospitals might admit against the will of the person, and the cycle of instability then restarts. The ability to form a personal identity or understand the motivations of others can also be compromised, making social interactions incredibly difficult.
The dangerous minefield of misdiagnosis.
Navigating a diagnosis for disorganized schizophrenia is incredibly complex, a true minefield for clinicians. Its symptoms can mimic those of severe autism spectrum disorder, late onset developmental disability, or even heavy THC intoxication. Furthermore, medical conditions like thyroid storms, Wilson's disease, or certain street drugs can tangle syntaxes and behavior in ways that look remarkably similar to disorganized schizophrenia. Clinicians have to meticulously rule out these possibilities to ensure accurate diagnosis. The average time from a person's first psychotic break to a correct diagnosis can be as long as 18 months. During this agonizing gap, individuals might be put on antipsychotics that aren't quite right. Doses might be escalated unnecessarily, side effects can bloom, and crucially, trust in the medical system can erode. This delay in accurate diagnosis and appropriate treatment can significantly worsen outcomes. It's a critical period where missteps can have long-lasting consequences.
Let's do a reality check on the prognoses.
Let's be honest, the prognosis for disorganized schizophrenia can be challenging. An early onset, typically between 15 and 25 years old, combined with significant cognitive slides, generally points towards poor long-term outcomes. Disorganized symptoms themselves are a strong predictor of worsened functioning. Roughly half of individuals diagnosed will struggle significantly to regain their baseline functioning. A quarter might achieve moderate independence, but usually with lifelong support system in place. Another quarter might require more intensive custodial care. These are tough statistics, but a poor diagnosis is definitely not hopelessness. Early, sustained, and comprehensive treatment can buy decades of stability and improve quality of life. This is especially true when families stay educated about the illness and stigma remains low. This will create a supportive environment for recovery.
The treatment that actually helps.
When it comes to treatment, a multifaceted approach is key. First and foremost are medication. Second-generation antipsychotics such as risperidone and olanzapine are often the first line of defense. They work to reduce fragmentation of thoughts and behavior enough to allow other therapies to stick. When two adequate trials of these medication fails, clozapine often enters the chat. It's a powerful antipsychotic, particularly effective for treatment-resistant cases, though it requires careful monitoring. But medication is just one piece of the puzzle. Psychosocial rehabilitation is equally vital. And no, this isn't just talk therapy. It's highly structured and practical. Cognitive remediation puzzles targets and strengthen working memory, attention, and problem-solving skills. The very cognitive functions that are often disrupted. Social skills group provides a safe space to practice fundamental interactions like turn talking in conversation, maintaining eye contact, and understanding social cues. Occupational therapists literally walk clients through dressing scripts or cooking sequences, breaking down complex daily tasks into manageable steps to rebuild independence. Family psychoeducation is another game changer, proven to cut relapse rates by as much as 20%. It works simply by teaching family members to lower expressed emotions, reducing criticism, hostility, and over-involvement, and replacing them with understanding and support. There is no single magic bullet here. Just a coordinated effort of micro victories that collectively makes a monumental difference.
Stories from the inside.
It's easy to get lost in the clinical descriptions, but behind every symptom is a person fighting to live. Take Anna, 22, who kept meticulously organized notebook of her private vocabulary. She'd hand it to co-workers like a Facebook, a brave and ingenious way to bridge the gap where the speech is fragmented. And we have Jamal at 30. Found a unique path to recovery. Every Sunday, he live-streamed his apartment cleanup, allowing viewers to watch him relearn dishwashing step by step. It was a public, vulnerable, and incredibly effective way to rebuild his executive functions. Both Anna and Jamal still post, both still stumble, but their stories prove that recovery isn't a finish line. It's a verb, an ongoing process of learning, adapting, and fighting for a future. Their resilience is a powerful reminder that personhood remains intact even when the mind is challenged.
Let's bust some myths.
Let's clear up some common misconception, because fear often thrives on misinformation. Myth. People with disorganized schizophrenia chooses to talk in riddles or act strangely for attention. Fact. Speech fragmentation and disorganized behavior mirrors genuine neural misfiring and cognitive disorganization. Not willfully games or attention seeking. They are symptoms, not a choice. Myth. Bad parenting causes schizophrenia. Fact. This harmful myth has caused immeasurable guilt. The reality is that risk genes loads the gun, but environmental factors like prenatal toxins, childhood traumas, or cannabis use before the age of 16 can pull the trigger. It's a complex interplay of biology and environment, not a mother's fault. Myth. Everyone with disorganized schizophrenia is violent and dangerous. Fact. This couldn't be further from the truth. Individuals with schizophrenia, especially the disorganized types, are far more likely to be victims of crimes than perpetrators. This is because of homelessness, social isolation, and vulnerability that makes them the target.
How to respond when speech fall apart.
Encountering disorganized speech can be disorienting, but your response matters immensely. Do not mock, finish sentences for them, or raise your voice. Their neural circuits are scrambled, not their ears. Interrupting or correcting can exacerbate the situation and make them feel judged. What you can do is keep questions short, concrete, and ask them one at a time. Are you hungry is far more effective than what neutral preferences aligns with your current state of being. You can offer choices visually. Point to an apple or a sandwich, rather than just asking about food. This reduces the cognitive load. If agitation starts to rise, reduce stimuli, lower the lights, minimize background noise, and give them a physical space. Overstimulation can quickly escalate distress. Remember, listening active with empathy and a non-judgmental attitude is crucial.
Support without burning out.
Caring for someone with disorganized schizophrenia is an immense challenge, and caregivers absolutely need a respite to avoid burnout. Rotate duties if possible. Share responsibility among siblings, friends, or other family members. A shared load is a lighter load. Utilize ACT teams if you have them. These teams are multidisciplinary teams that visits homes, provide intensive support, and sparing you the constant clinical haul. They can be invaluable for the community of care. You can also schedule your own therapy. The emotional toll on caregivers is significant. Trauma can echo throughout generations, and Having a safe space to process your feelings is not a luxury, but a necessity. Stay organized. Keep a running list of social workers' names and contact numbers, perhaps on the fridge, so others can easily find it. Relationships with these professionals anchors in community, which is vital when psychiatrists or case managers might rotate every 6 months. Building a strong support network for yourself is just as important as building one for the person you are caring for.
What does the future bring?
The future isn't about managing symptoms, it's about innovating. Researchers is constantly pushing the boundaries, offering glimpses of hopes. Transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS. Early trials shows promises for TMS applied over the prefrontal cortex, a brain region critical for executive functions. It is sharpening work memory, at least in the small study groups, which could be a game changer for the cognitive symptoms. Anti-inflammatory medication. These are being investigated for their potential to trim oxidative stress, a factor believed to fuel cognitive decay in schizophrenia. Digital phenotyping. Imagine your smartphone logging subtle changes in typing speed, semantic coherence in text, or even speech patterns. This digital phenotyping may flag an impending relapse weeks before hospitalization is needed, allowing for proactive interventions. Novel drug targets. Beyond traditional antipsychotics, researchers are exploring compounds that modulate different neurotransmitter systems, aiming for treatments with fewer side effects and a broader efficiency. None of these are silver bullets, but each widening the toolkit beyond the pharmaceuticals of the 1950s we use today. They represent coordinated efforts to understand, intervene at a deeper, more personalized level.
How can society level up?
Ultimately, improving outcomes for individuals with disorganized schizophrenia requires a societal shift. Advocate for coordinated care. We need to push insurance companies or public health systems to cover truly coordinated care models, not just the fragmented 15 minutes medication checks. Integrated care where physical and mental health are addressed holistically is essential. Lobby for supported housing. Stable housing isn't just a humanitarian issue, it's an economic one. Supported housing programs have been shown to slash emergency room cost by half, providing stability that's impossible to achieve without a safe home. Integrated psychosis literacy. Let's teach psychosis literacy or mental health in high school health classes. Imagine a world where teens recognize early warning signs, not just in themselves but in their friends, before symptoms escalate to crisis levels. Early intervention is key. Normalized employment programs. We need normalized and expanded employment programs that places individuals in structured, stress-controlled jobs. It could be jobs like data entry, animal care, dog walking, and a myriad of others. In these environments, fragmented speech matters less than the ability to be reliable, allowing individuals to contribute meaningful to society and regain a sense of purpose. Disorganized schizophrenia scrambles language, scrambles behavior, and scrambles emotions, but it does not scramble personality. Beneath the word salad and the mismatched smiles sits someone who still hopes, still understands love, and still desperately wants a future. The more we learn, the less we stare, and the faster recovery becomes a shared project instead of a private nightmare. This condition, often considered the weirdest form of schizophrenia due to its profound impact on thoughts and behavior, demands our empathy and our collective efforts. And if you want to get smarter on schizophrenia and all the facets of schizophrenia, then check out my entire playlist right here, where I talk much more about schizophrenia, so you can become a master of schizophrenia. So I'll be seeing you right over there.